All right, as you can see, we're sitting here in beautiful Piedmont, Alabama at S&H Waterproofing and Construction with Robert Sadler, who's the owner, operator here at this beautiful facility you have here. But, you know, it's always that time of year. It's summertime, it's very hot outside. You guys have a million things going on. And, you know, over the last few years, we've partnered up and done a lot of good things together for the communities in and around your area, that you've reached out and helped a lot of high schools get recognition and a lot of kids get recognition, and appreciate you helping again. We're going to partner up again this season, but before we do that, man, we'd like to get caught up on what you guys have going on here at S&H Waterproofing. You've added some things. You guys can do even more now, but I'm kind of going to turn it over to you, sir, so you can kind of catch us up to speed with what all you guys have going on.
Yeah, well, hey guys, I'm Robert Sadler, owner of S&H Waterproofing and Construction. Yeah, we love this time of the year because it's getting to the time of the year where the rain, it's not, hopefully not raining so much. It allows us to get a lot of work completed. You know, we love the rain, but it does prevent us from getting the work done. So, but just kind of filling in with what we kind of have new. It's not really new, but we're now advertising more toward concrete construction. We do a lot of driveways, patios, garage slabs, things like that have always been a part of what we do, because we're out doing foundation repair, where other people have done improper work, or just maybe they didn't know what they were doing fully and they just made mistakes and things. And so we're out fixing foundations and broken slabs and concrete. So concrete has always been a part of our work for last 20 plus years. It's just we're getting where we get in a higher call for people want us to do more and more. So so now I basically added a concrete division to my company to where we can actively pursue concrete foundations and flat work. So it's very it's more of a need than I realized. I hadn't really as we pursued it, we have a lot of people that just kind of feeding into me that says, they're looking for one guy they can deal with that can handle the foundation, they can handle the garage slab, driveway, porches, everything, and they deal with one guy, kind of owns it all on the job. And that's the benefit of working with S&H Waterproofing and Construction, is that I'm a licensed home builder, so I understand the building process from breaking ground, doing excavation and grade work, all the way to the very end, very end goal. I don't advertise in building because we've kind of picked a specialty, and we like waterproofing and grade work and now concrete work and foundation repair. But we're able to work with a contractor or a homeowner. Just hands me a set of plans and say, here, get this foundation ready for wood, and so we essentially go in, we can grade everything, we can install all the footings, do all the do all the layout, everything. So we and have them ready, put the concrete piers in, or put block piers in, whichever way. If you're in the flood zone, we try to use concrete piers. That way you have a more stable foundation in the event of a flood. So a lot of things, especially over in Center and Weiss Lake, around Weiss Lake and Neely Henry, places that are more prone to flooding. So we just have, with my background in building and background in foundation repair and waterproofing, it gives us kind of a leg up on helping someone avoid those costly repairs later, that they're calling me in that I'm having to repair where other contractors have come in, and they're not really interested in really doing a long-term job. We see that every day, day in, day out. So what we look at every day is where people have made blunders on building a house. So we're having to jack the house back up. We're having to re-pour concrete, tear out porches where they're falling apart, things like that. So just kind of gives us, if we can get in on the front end, it's gonna save the customer a lot of money.
That was my next question. Talk about the importance of what you just said, because to me, I think it's very important. And when you and I talked off camera about a couple of incidents here recently, and we just heard of another one just a few minutes before we started this interview, How important is it to get you guys out there before the building starts, even if it's for another set of eyes, whatever the case may be, to get you there to avoid some of these problems that you're seeing on the back end?
Yeah, so because I'm familiar with waterproofing, it gives me I've got years and years and years of experience of understanding where a grade needs to be to function around a house properly. And so because we've gotten so many calls where people need to raise their grade, I try to, and a lot of people don't listen. I mean, that's the thing, is that I don't want to force people to do anything my way. I just simply, when I'm out there meeting with them on their basement to go over, grade or crawl space, here's the grade. I offer suggestions about where their grade needs to be to function properly, to keep water moving away from the house. What you don't want water piling up around the house, because it's just going to cause foundations to settle and ultimately crack and cause interior sheetrock cracks and door sticking and all those things that start happening when the ground gets too hydrated. So I have a lot of experience in making sure that the grades are correct. So I can see that on the front end. So whenever I'm looking at a lot, if somebody consults with me in the very beginning prior to building the house, and when they were there, want to put the foundation in, making sure they get the foundation high enough out of the ground that we can actually achieve proper slopes and those things that I can help with. So if you hire me to come in and consult and essentially put the footings and the foundation in, you're going to get an understanding that I'm going to be able to see at the end of this job. I know in the beginning of the job the problems you're going to run to in the end of the job, because I get called out and have for 20 plus years. We've been called out after these problems are occurred. So I know how to avoid them in the forefront, which will ultimately save you in a lot of cases thousands of dollars by having us come in up front.
Now, when you're talking about spending, and everybody knows at the end of the day, the bottom line is the bottom line.
Sure.
What you're trying to avoid for customers are those, let me do it myself, and then later on, let's skim through. Talk
Right.
about the ability for you being a one-stop shop to avoid all that.
Yeah, so with our ability to take a set of plans, understand the plans, properly lay a house out, do all the footings, do all your piers, do your basement slab or your garage slab or your porch slabs, your driveways, and one thing that we do that's different than most people is that we always make sure we use reinforcement in our concrete. So we're at minimum going to use a welded wire panel that goes in your concrete, but we prefer to use rebar. It costs a little bit more, but one thing about it, with rebar, you're going to get a structurally sound concrete. So if it does crack, which it's going to crack, most concrete does, it just don't come apart on you, and that's where you start having problems, is when concrete starts coming apart and you start getting these big openings, you start inducing water in those cracks. So now water's running in, it just compounds the issue. So water is a major culprit in a lot of what we get called out for foundation repair, whether somebody poured the sidewalks in before they ever realized that that they were trapping water against the house. So now all of a sudden they get cracks in their brick or cracks in their house. They're inside their house, they can't open the windows or shut their doors because their house is settling, and then I go outside and I find out that I can just, it's common sense, but somebody basically poured sidewalks and left the sidewalks higher than what the elevation against the house could be. So therefore water now, when it rains, it turns into a moat around their house. And now they're experiencing foundation problems that could potentially cost them thousands of dollars because somebody just did the sidewalks wrong. And it's just that simple. But unfortunately, a lot of your concrete guys, I'm not saying all of them, there's some good guys out here, but a lot of them are not looking down the road of what the impacts of their work is going to do. And that's one thing that, because we're not only in repair, but we also focus on preventative measures to where, our work doesn't need to cause you a problem later. And because I already know where those problems are, we've been doing for 20 plus years, I already know why they happen and where they're going to happen, so I can avoid those issues.
Right, no doubt.
That's the benefit of working with S&H Waterproofing and Construction ultimately.
Another major benefit, I think, personally, from you guys are local. But let's talk about territories a little bit. You've expanded a little bit where you go. but you're not a national chain that's going to come in here with a certain set of rules that they have to abide by, and they kind of want to steer people in that. You're more of your hometown guy. You listen, you know this area. Talk about your territory a little bit and how beneficial that is for a customer.
Yeah, so we're out of Piedmont, Alabama, and we're just a small family owned. I'm a sole owner here, and my kids all go to Spring Garden, but we're major supporters of Piedmont and all the surrounding school areas here. We do work in the schools when we do Player of the Week and stuff. We can kind of showcase some of these student athletes. I really love being able to give the spotlight on some of these kids. I mean, in a lot of ways they don't actually get what they do. It seems like you have to get into college before you start getting player spotlight. So we can't do all the schools, obviously. We're working on expanding our ability to do that, but essentially we are major supporters of locally owned people. We shop in Piedmont, we shop in Center, we shop in our local municipalities here because essentially, it helps small town families who then put back into our schools, put back into our athletes and our communities, and that's big. And so when you start going to these, when you go to Walmart, well, the last time I saw Walmart, do a Player of the Week, I don't think I've ever seen one. So
I don't either.
I mean, nothing against Walmart, but essentially, when you hire S&H Waterproofing and Construction, you're hiring a company that actively pursues support in our schools and our students and our athletic programs. And so, and we've done. My kids go to Spring Garden, so obviously we're a little bit partial to Spring Garden naturally. So, but we've done a lot of work at Spring Garden, and just as a service, like where we didn't even build. I mean, some things they covered costs, and I just donated all my labor, and we've done things for Piedmont, place like that, where we've done the work, but I cut my cost a lot. Anytime I'm working for a school where we've done work stuff for Hoax Bluff and Sandrock and a lot of schools around, I've severely cut my cost. Because I know that it's helping these kids, and so I've got kids of my own, and therefore I know what challenges they have. Going to especially smaller country schools, they don't have piles of money, so they need people in the community. And the only way we can afford to do these things is for obviously as our local community to hire local contractors to do their work. So I always push for people to hire local, assuming that you have really good contractors. And so we've been doing this for approaching 25 years, and we're not advertising. This is kind of a new thing that we've been doing for the last 2 or 3 years, but before that it's all been referral, and we get most of our leads for jobs is all based on referrals. People that know us, that did work we did work for their neighbors, we did work for their friends or family, and so that just continues to grow. But we also want to showcase the people that may not know about us through Average Joe's, that can basically reach folks that's maybe a little outside of our my stomping ground, which is around Piedmont, but we work all over North Alabama and Northwest Georgia. So we have a pretty big turf, and commercially we do commercial work. We run in about 20 states. So we're not a little company, but we are a local company. So we're capable of doing large scale work.
Which helps when you're talking to people around here. You and I talked off camera a little bit about how some of these larger national corporations have come in with a certain set of rules.
Yeah, they have a cookie
you don't go
cutter.
by that.
They basically try to mold a repair, the same repair to everybody's house. So when that comes to like leaky basements and crawl space and stuff, they've got the same repair that they do for everybody. And so it's a lot of jobs, and we spoke about it earlier off camera, but where a guy, the only problem he had in his basement was he had a downspout that was improperly connected to a pipe that had been buried in the ground and did not go to daylight. So therefore the water, once it got a certain amount of water in it, it just dumped back out the pipe, leaked down beside the basement, and was causing the water to come in. And I figured that out in about 15 minutes, and so now he just put a gutter extension on there, and basically I helped the customer do something for himself, and at the end of the day we help, and that's our goal, is to help customers.
Yeah.
And so if we can help you, that's what we want to do. And if we can help you avoid mistakes, help you avoid costs, if we if we can assist you in doing something yourself, we do it. And so sometimes we walk away and we didn't sell anything. Because I might make a suggestion. I say, here, you try that. You can do that yourself, and they do it, and it works. And sometimes they have more than one problem, and then they still need our services. But we don't go in with this high pressure sales and sales gimmicks. We don't do that. We're there to help the customer, and my sales team has 100% been trained to follow that protocol.
That's right. Yeah, because if you take care of the customer, eventually it'll all come out in the wash.
That's how you get your referrals.
You gain a referral and an advocate moving forward.
People trust you, and that's the key. And so that's one thing that throughout my company is that every job that we do, we're selling the next job. So you have to do everything with integrity and trust, because if people can't trust you to do the right thing when they're not looking, then we don't need to be in business, essentially, in my opinion.
You're burning your candle at both ends, I like to call it, if you're not doing the right things.
That's
you're correct. Right. Now, we started the conversation off talking a little bit about your concrete division that you've kind of opened up publicly now. Like you said, you've been doing it for years, but now you have a division of it. What are some of the things that you guys offer there that we may not have talked about so far? Some of the things that you'd like to speak on in that division specifically?
So kind of recapping some of those things, just kind of a list of things that we do. We do driveways, patios, porches, garage slab, your barn dominium slabs. We can handle, we can drill the holes for you, have everything formed up. Then whoever can come back and install the barn section, the pole barn over the top. Keep the cost down, so we can handle all that portion. We do new foundation, so you just hand me a set of plans. We can install everything from the ground up, and basically once we're done, everything can be waterproofed, properly drained, all your concrete work in, everything's ready for the framer. So then we can do the grade work, backfilling, everything that has to do with slopes, drainage, concrete, everything we do.
Right. See, that's a blessing. It's a one-stop shop we talked about earlier. Also, something you and I talked about earlier that kind of caught my eye, in the public's eye and a lot of people's eye, they still think concrete is outrageously high right now, and you've actually said it's eased up a little bit. Talk about that and how that could actually help in some of these negotiations.
Yeah, so the concrete overall, I mean, labor and stuff has gone up, so I don't know that the prices overall, as far as an industry, has gone down much. But one thing that's happened is that the concrete prices itself, the actual concrete ready mix, has eased up. So this came down in price, which helps with additional costs in labor and business costs that that COVID and inflation is kind of hyperinflation has caused. So that's a benefit. It is prices are starting to kind of stabilize, and that's what we're kind of seeing, and so it's making it a little easier for people to be able to get that slab, that patio poured, or whatever they need done to.
The reason I think that's huge is somebody that may have been on the fence was like, I'm not even going to try that right now, but be the time they need to try that. At least talk to you about that. And
that's correct.
So before we turn the video off, I always like to do this, kind of turn it over to you, anything you'd like to talk about, and then before you shut it down, let everybody know how they can reach you.
Yeah, so kind of reiterating, we're a small town company. We're not a small company. I mean, we got almost 30 employees, so we've got manpower to be able to put on your job, and we operate with integrity and honesty. And other than that, we would love to have your business, and you can reach us. You can find us on Facebook, so you can follow us on Facebook. We have a website at snhwaterproofing.com, so you can connect with us there. So. We're constantly putting social media posts out to where people can see our work, and so I would strongly encourage for people to go there. That's an opportunity for them to be able to see. Sometimes we have progress photos and things in our work. That way they can see the type of work we do and what it looks like and what our experience level is. So. And
I'll have this video hyperlinked when I post it. And Robert, as always, I appreciate your time. It's been very educational for myself to learn exactly what you guys do. I had no idea. I also had no idea that you could do all the things you can do from the ground up. One-stop shop right here at S&H Waterproofing, and any kind of needs that people have there. I mean, you guys have a proven track record over the last couple of years I've been working with you and in the public eye. So don't even ask Robert or myself. Just go out and ask about the name S&H, and that ain't always the case. And that is something huge that the public generally knows. You guys do not only good work, but you're honest and do it on time. So,
that's right.
Robert, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for all you do for all the student athletes and schools around here, as well as Average Joes, and actually helping the day-to-day customer. You guys do a lot of really good things in the community. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. And I want to appreciate, just say thank you, Bo, for everything you do for our company and helping us push our name out there. It's just going to benefit the community better, and we love what y'all do as far as highlighting these kids. And so that's something I love doing, and we're able to do that a lot with you and, in other avenues, but we utilize Average Joes to help do that as well. So I appreciate everything you do.
Appreciate you, sir.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Thank you.